Okay, we are live. So let me adjust this one because I gotta fix this for you guys. Fix this for you guys here so people know where to come. And let's save that. Let's fix this one to say that. All right, and we're all live. I think we're all live now. It's my first time trying this new StreamYard software, so hopefully we're all good. Let me do a mobile preview here. Let's see, make sure this is all good. Yeah, there's lots of new stuff here to lots of compelling stuff in the news lately, so hopefully let's see. Let's see. I'm just doing a test here. If anyone's in here, can you just let me know if the audio is good? How does everything sound?
Let's see. I'm just doing a test here.
Okay, I think everything's good. So I'll just give it a couple minutes here for everything to start. But yeah, pretty much just want to go over just kind of wrap up really the and kind of come to a conclusion with the Oceangate series. Thanks, Becky. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Welcome in. Just give me a second here. I'm just getting set up. But yeah, I just pretty much just want to come to kind of a sort of a conclusion here with the Oceangate Titan series. I think we've pretty much covered everything there is to cover on it. There's just one other thing that I want to cover and maybe do one more video on. And that would be kind of inside the mind of Stockton Rush. I think that would be interesting to look at, like, his upbringing and things like that. So yeah, that's definitely a potential future video because he's got lots of interesting family history, and he sort of comes from wealth. His dad was actually one of the higher ups in the Bohemian Grove, and he was real close, like, with the presidents. His family lineage goes back, like, he's like a direct descendant from one of his great grandfathers, like, signed the Declaration of Independence. And yeah, I mean, it's just some interesting history there. Obviously I think we kind of know that there was, like, lots of like, he had sort of a narcissistic mindset, I think, or mentality. He kind of just ignored a lot of the safety issues and just kept pursuing innovation. And, you know, we heard all those quotes and everything like that. And, you know, and they really did push for a lot of innovation, which I respect. Like, we need pioneers like that. But at the same time, they just, as you saw in the last video, there was a lot of shortcuts that were taken there. And that interview with Bruce Morton, that was back in 2021. So that's before any potential, like, pressures, like legal pressures or legal issues, you know, anything like that. So he was just speaking freely, sharing his experiences freely. And, you know, and I think that if someone asked him to do an interview today, he wouldn't be opening up as much as he did then. Let's see, got to add the stage, and then I need to add something. Let's see, need to add let's see, share screen. We'll just share the whole screen with you guys. So I'm going to pull up a PDF here. I just want to go through some of this. So these are all the PDFs and documents from the Coast Guard, all the Coast Guard PDFs that they release. So a lot of the things that you guys seen that were in my presentations, that they all came from the Coast Guard Marine Board of Investigation. And so they had things like these brochures even that we looked at, you know, the Titanic brochures. We can open these up. You see, just give you a quick preview here on the side, but and like the factual like material reports and things like that. Now, one thing that I didn't go over with you guys, just because it kind of, I don't know, I just didn't want to have too much of a boring video, I guess you could say, was this presentation. I used some of the slides in the last video with Bruce Morton. I kind of overlaid some things. But so this is from American Bureau of Shipping, so ABS, and this was their yeah, I guess this is just their pressure hull requirements for passenger subs. So you know, like we know that shoot, I'm forgetting the name of it, but I think his name was Carl, the guy that's over in the Bahamas that was a close friend of Stockton, like he had I forget the name of it, but he had a submersible that is classed, like pretty much if you want to get classed, like this is how you do it with ABS. You need to get your submersible classed in some shape or form. There's ABS, there's Lloyd's Register, and then you also have to go through like Coast Guard or whoever, whatever waters that you're navigating in. And yeah, you know, we saw in the last video that they did a lot to kind of skirt through those gray areas. But even with you know, saying that they, or in admitting that they were exploiting those gray areas so that they didn't have to follow regulations, you know, like registering the company in the Bahamas. Well, so this was also used in the last video. We're going to go back to the ABS presentation, but this is from the United States Coast Guard. They're reaching out to the Bahamas government, and they're saying, good evening. I apologize for the additional email, but we have more addition about the submersible and its owner operator that may be pertinent. According to the company's website, one of the trips that they advertise is a Bahamas expedition. That was one of the things that they do. And I could show you guys that brochure if you want. But it says, which appear to be conducted within the Bahamas territorial waters. Is it likely they would be required to be registered with your government to be able to conduct these types of trips? Now, remember, they were saying that the company's registered in the Bahamas. That's part of how they are not being enforced by United States regulations, American Bureau of Shipping, and the Coast Guard. And if we go up here to look at their reply, that's just, they're just trying to see who to get in touch with. And this is their response. Thank you for your email. The Bahamian Maritime Authority was approached by Oceangate in 2019 requesting registration of the submersible Titan in the Bahamas. The Bahamas Merchant Shipping registration of submersible craft. So this is like their version of ABS, of American Bureau of Shipping. And regulations 1987 as amended requires that a register of submersible craft shall be maintained at the offices of the Bahamas Maritime Authority. Furthermore, such craft are to be designed and constructed in accordance with the Merchant Shipping Submersible Craft Construction and Survey Regulations in 1981, and operated in accordance with Merchant Shipping Submersible Craft Operations Regulations 1987. And let's see. So, and then they said that they issued this bulletin in 2016, summarizing the above. And this is the part that sticks out to me here. Oceangate were advised of the requirements above, but did not provide technical data on the submersible, the standards it was constructed to, if it was surveyed, and by whom, if it had any form of safety certificate, etc. And the submersible Titan was therefore not registered in the Bahamas. I hope this assists. Now this is part of the documents that they released. I think it was on October 22nd. And so, so yeah, this is one of the later documents. This wasn't released when they were doing the hearings. This came out after the fact, and yeah, it just kind of really just stuck out to me as like, wow. So even they couldn't even do wrong the right way. You know what I mean? Now the other thing is, this is the ABS presentation, but if we go to look to see what ABS had to say in terms of their work with in regards to the Titan, let me get to it here. We can touch on all this stuff, but I just want to get to this one point. So okay, I missed it. Sorry, I wasn't prepared, you guys. I had a you guys saw Luna in the intro for the last video, our new puppy, and yeah, she was pretty sick. We've had her for a week, and she threw up the collar that she was given as a newborn. I guess she had swallowed it, and it was just stuck somewhere, like in her like throat or chest or something. So yeah, so it was a very scary day for me. It was a very long day, and you know, it was pouring down rain up here in Seattle, and I was stuck in a lot of traffic. Oh, okay. So here's what I was trying to show you guys. This is a slide that I used a couple times in the last video, and it's just saying that. So this is their relation in ABS's relation to the Titan submersible. They had no involvement with the Titan submersible. They received no request for classification. So, and there is no design review or surveys conducted. So pretty much, I think that obviously we heard from Bruce Morton, and he said that they wanted to try and work with the authorities, but clearly they must have heard that it was just going to be too difficult. So they didn't even try to get a classification. They didn't even request it. Now, you know, we know that the carbon fiber was an issue, but they list a lot of issues in here. It was just way too much for me to try and even put into a video, because I think I would probably put all of you guys to sleep. But let's see. This is sort of interesting, just to kind of give you a peek behind the curtain. But the classification process for submersibles, rule development, design review, material and equipment, new construction surveys after construction. So that's just kind of the order in the process. And our diving companies, if we're going to work on ships, like cargo ships, things like that, then we have to have an ABS certification as well to inspect and work on their ships. So I have a little bit of experience with that, but things are going to be a little bit easier for our diving companies, because everything's kind of already established and set in stone for like the requirements, and they just kind of have like a checklist for getting our company certified, and the annual checklist that we have to go through. But yeah, so we have a little bit of experience with ABS, but I mean, nothing like this. We're definitely not trying to you know, reinvent the wheel with new materials like they were. And this is just going over their Antipodes model, which or submersible, which we know that submersible was like classed. They bought it classed. I think that was the first one that they bought that was actually classed, and that was their kind of the backbone of their company, mainly when they were doing dives up in the Puget Sound still. And this is just kind of all the requirements, and I don't want to go through all that right now, because all that stuff would be, like I said, a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of boring. But here, so similar to how they have like a checklist for our companies when we need to get certified, well, they have lists of approved materials. So steel, and they have all these different grades: hull grades, Navy grades, mil spec grades, ATSM. They have aluminum approved materials, titanium alloys in the specific grade, stainless steel, and they have acrylics as well. And I think so. I think I've seen this this acrylic specifically on the receipt for the window that they purchased for their viewport. So I think I think that was in compliance. But remember, I think for the titanium domes, they should have used grade 5, but they, for whatever reason, reduced it to a grade 3, maybe just for, cutting costs or cutting corners or whatever. I think that was Tony Nissen that might have mentioned that. So what are the key concerns with carbon fiber pressure holes for submersibles? So material conditions, carbon fiber composites are anisotropic. Let me know if I got that wrong. I don't even, I don't know what that means. Anisotropic materials, whose whose mechanical properties vary with direction. Let me look that up real quick, because if I don't, that's going to bother me. I don't want to keep reading. So anisotropic definition. Give me one sec, guys. Anisotropic is of an object or substance having a physical property that has a different value when measured in different directions. A simple example is wood, which is stronger along the grain than across it. Okay, well, that makes sense, because they wrapped it tight in a cylindrical fashion, and then they also laid down the plies. They wrapped it under tension, and then they laid down the plies not under tension. And then so with those strains, it's going to be stronger along the strains. So carbon fiber is weak in compression and strong in tension. Epoxy is strong in compression and weak in tension. The strength of the carbon fiber composite, i.e. carbon fiber strands set in an epoxy matrix, is a combination of these two. Yeah, well, yeah, we knew. So we know that. We knew that. Does not exhibit difficulty or plasticity or ductility or plasticity similar to steels. When loaded beyond its limits, the composite can catastrophically fail without much warning. And it did. Prolonged exposure to UV radiation, sunlight, can cause the epoxy and carbon fiber to break down, leading into cracking or crumbling. And that, remember when the submersible was sitting out in Newfoundland throughout the winter, not only the winter, but I mean, it's exposed out there on the ocean, getting towed behind that vessel. So you're getting like direct sunlight from above, and you're getting all the reflection coming back off the sides, off the ocean as well, reflecting back to you. So yeah, I mean, that thing was certainly abused and exposed to a lot of UV and a lot of weathering as well. I mean, leaving it out in Newfoundland, Canada, in the middle of winter is just absolute nuts to me. So you can't help but think that like water intrusion would happen over time, and then especially in the winter, where it would freeze and expand and get into certain places and reduce strength and cause some weak areas. Now, susceptible to fatigue failure under repeated external pressurization / depressurization. So this is just saying that susceptible to fatigue under all the cyclic loading, as everyone called it, the cycles where it would go down at depth and compress and then come back up and decompress, and it would expand back out to its normal size. Yeah, so I mean, we know that was big. That was big red flag, that they not only that was going to be a problem, but they should have taken a full scale model. I mean, this is the first of its kind. They should have honestly taken a full scale and done the cyclic loading to figure out, like, done it until failure, and figure out how many times we can take it to these depths, what depths should we take it to, and how much abuse can it really take before putting it down underwater. with passengers inside, or as they call them, mission specialists. Because I've got a photo of it here somewhere. Those small models that they made, third scale models, quarter-inch models, or quarter scale models. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy. Like, they didn't even I don't know. I mean, you can't even get it to the exact scale with these materials, the type of glue that they're using, and the rings attached to it and how they attach to it. I mean, they imploded this one, and it was just during testing, and it was almost like they just kind of kept decided to kind of keep on marching forward. And here's another one here. This is from Sub Brief. This is a photo that they shared. Yeah, there you go. You can get a really good look at one of those there. I believe this one was for the Cyclops. And you can see the ring right there that they wound the carbon fiber on. And remember, what they were initially trying to do was use carbon fiber hemispheres. So they took a carbon fiber ball, and then they cut it in half, and then they glued those onto the end. So, I mean, just imagine that. I mean, knowing what we know now, yeah, that would have been pretty crazy. That would have failed pretty quick. And I mean, and it did obviously here, but I mean, that's crazy to even try that. It's crazy enough that they would wrap the layers and then like cut the hoops, cut the strands, any high points, cut those off and just keep layering it right over. I mean, common sense kind of tells you that's not a good idea. And then in addition, remember that these were supposed to be, the whole thickness was supposed to be 9 inches thick, and they decided to go with 5, likely because, and this is just speculating, but if they went with 9 inches thick, then they would be much heavier, and they would need a lot more syntactic foam, and that would just be like, well, we might as well just have a ship with a crane on it and do it like everyone else does. Because by the time we get 9 inches thick of carbon fiber, there's going to be a lot more issues wrapping that many layers, and it's going to be a lot heavier. So it's probably not even worth it. But I mean, that's what happens. You reduce the thickness by half. I mean, it's very, very likely that the carbon fiber just squeezed, and just from cyclic loading over time, it either broke off at the titanium rings where the epoxy was holding on the carbon fiber to the rings or bonding them, or it broke and just squeezed down here and just collapsed, just a sudden collapse. So yeah. Okay, and let's go back to this here. Here's a photo of Luna when she was like 6 weeks old, I think. Or our little angel. All right. So let's see. Yeah, and then I mean they had like slide after slide just loaded with all the issues that could be present when they're using carbon fiber for these pressure holes. So I mean they name it here. I mean they pretty much called everything out. And one of those things was, well, let's just go through them. Number of layers and thickness, winding orientation, X cross, hoop, etc., winding tension. These are all variables that you have to take into account. So type of epoxy that was being used, and we know that they were actually using the wrong epoxy. They should have been using one without the aluminum filler. But on top of that, remember when we went back and looked at the specs for that, it looked like it was something that was rated for higher temperatures, not to be used at depths where it's freezing temperature. And it's about freezing. It's it's mid 30s, low 30s, something like that down there at the bottom of the seafloor in the Atlantic. So, how does that affect an epoxy where it's rated for you know, I think it was rated for like 300 degrees or something, and ideally should be used like around like 180. So it was one of those aerial epoxies that they use for aerospace. Excuse me. Epoxy wetting rate. You know, we went through that as well in the gluing procedures. They were pretty lax on all the gluing procedures, and it didn't look like they were really really had any standards set for how to apply any of it. And as well as the cure rate. We remember we were looking at that, and they were pretty flexible on the cure rate too. You know, something somewhere between 3 to 5 business days. You know, we'll let it cure sometime between there. We're not really sure. Humidity, that obviously needs to be taken into account. Why is that huge? Because we live in Seattle, Washington. So this is the rainy city. It rains like a lot, right? But they're driving at 45 minutes down the highway between each layer, and there's 5 1-inch layers of carbon fiber, right, to make up the 5-inch thick hole. And then they would wind on the first inch and then drive it to the autoclave, get it cured, and then drive it back, wind on the second inch. And you know, I've seen photos of the Titan, and it was just on the back of a truck, just out exposed, like you know. And they were doing this. Keep in mind, they were doing this in fall and in winter. And so yeah, temperature and pressure. Manufacturing defects such as voids, blisters, porosity can weaken the composite sections and accelerate collapse of the pressure hull under external pressure. The acceptance criteria for these defects needs to be defined, and that's something that the ABS doesn't have standards for. They don't know how to. They didn't really have they don't really have a way of qualifying the manufacturing process yet, because that's going to take a lot of research versus metals, where if they're using titanium or steel, then they already have all that information and tons of history behind it. So, you know, for this to be something new that they're trying out, and then just to like instantly start putting people down there and charging them 150,000, 250,000, just crazy, man. And you know, RIP to everyone that perished. You know, and hopefully the marine industry learns from this. And let's see. Yeah, and then remember we looked at, we had a couple of these. I had a couple of screenshots here. Some of the hole winding defects. These were from the coupons that were cut out. So they got after each 1-inch layer, all these high spots here, they would grind those down, and so it's completely smooth again, and then wind on the next layer. And you can see here on this finished edge, you see like a high spot right there. So there were some that were far more drastic than others. Like this one right here is really bad, and you can see that it just started all the way down here. I mean, this is one of the plies right here, this green glue, and we've seen that like in the wreckage photos, where you see like the broken carbon fiber, and like one side of it's completely green. That's this piece right here, and you can see porosity all the way down there, but it really started right here, and then that caused the rest of this inch right here to be significantly high. And so without, you know, I mean, they cut this off, but you can tell how much of a high spot that was right there. And then, you know, I mean, I'm not a carbon fiber expert. A lot of you, I'm sure, aren't carbon fiber experts. If you are, please let us know. But does it make sense to anyone to just cut these strands? Like, so essentially, so when you wind the hole, essentially you have, for lack of a better term, right, you have like a circle, you have like a rubber band, let's see. Let's go like this. And take a piece of tape. Say that this is the Oceangate Titan, right? And then this tape right here represents the carbon fiber. So if you wrap it around and then cut it off, okay, and now that feels pretty secure. It's under tension. And what if we just cut this? That like loses all of its strength. So what is even the point? It's crazy to me how how much they just kept charging forward and charging forward. And like I said, like for society to advance, like we need that to a certain extent, but what they were doing was just nuts. And I know somebody that worked for Oceangate, and just the fact that they put this guy in charge of like all diving safety, and he had just graduated from dive school, like I think it was a year prior, or a year or two prior. And then to just be like in charge of all of the diving safety for the company, man, it's insane to me. He, no supervising experience. He's still just like an entry level commercial diver, entry level tender. Barely getting his feet wet, and then they just put him like in charge of like all the dive safety, so in diving operations. And just because we go to dive school and we get certified to dive like helmets and dive the hard hats and things like that, it doesn't qualify us in any way to just all of a sudden be thrown into like a supervisor role and be running dive teams and stuff like that. I mean, you got to work your way up and everything else. All that dive school is it gets you very familiar with all of the gear and equipment, and all the procedures and all the safety procedures, but it's your ticket into the diving industry. It's how you get your foot in the door. And then after that, you start tending. So you're tending hose, you're helping the diver get ready, you're holding on to his dive hose, and giving him whatever he needs when he's diving. And then you'll get some dives like early on every now and then, but you're still not diving full time. It's certainly far from being in a supervisor position. So yeah, I mean, we heard some of that, some of those rumors and things like that. And I mean, I think there were statements from Stockton where he was saying, he didn't want a bunch of old white guys working for him. He wanted, young, energetic people working for him. And I mean, that could be taken a few different ways, but it's always good to have young people on the team, right? But it seemed like they were just really just trying to get people that would just follow along and drink the Kool-Aid, and that were just grateful to be working for the company. I remember before I knew anything about like the operations of Oceangate, I really wanted to go dive with them, like go work with them, dive with them. Man, I thought that would have been like the trip of a lifetime, getting to go to the Titanic. And if I was offered a position or offered, a ride to go down to the Titanic, no doubt I would have taken that like in a heartbeat. And I didn't know about all this, until the tragedy happened. I thought that they were a professional company and they did everything right. They always talked about Oceangate on the news, and they were always in the news. They were diving with 6-gill sharks, and yeah, doing tours in the Puget Sound, and their record groundbreaking achievements. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know how many of you would have went on one of those rides if down to the Titanic, if you had the opportunity before knowing everything now. For some of you, maybe you're claustrophobic, but for me, I would have been like, all right, let's just do it. I'm down. So but yeah, so I'm just gonna check the comments. What's up, Becky? What's up? What's up, Jane and Sam? Oh, Sam, what's up? What's up? Yeah, thanks for you guys' support. Sam says it's let's see if I can do this. It is shocking the number of unqualified people put in management and supervisor roles. Yeah, definitely that. Definitely that. Like, yeah, like I was saying, I mean, I personally know somebody that he was fresh to the diving industry, and then he's just all of a sudden in charge of diving operations and dive safety. And I would say, I would think that that would be post David Lockridge. I can't remember if that was 2020 or 2022 because there was a project that we had going on. We did this project twice, like it was getting done annually. It was just something that needed to get done. And I remember specifically in 2020 and 2022, we did that project. And I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was 2022 when he took over there. So, you know, unfortunately, not too long before this happened, I remember reaching out to him in the wintertime and or maybe the next spring of maybe early 2023. So like, you know, 5-6 months before this happened, and was like, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, you looking for work or how's Oceangate? And you know, he said that things were great there. You said he's still working there. Like I said, from the outside, they looked like a professional company. And man, I had no idea any of this was going on. So I was super happy for him. I was like, yeah, you know, that's great. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. Sam says he wanted people who would not question him. We all see how that worked out. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, I wish that that would have not happened, but you know, tragedies like that need to happen. And unfortunately, they're just going to happen over time because someone's going to find a way to kind of skirt through all the responsibilities that a company like that should have. So, yeah. So, and then Gene says too claustrophobic for me. Yeah. It to be crammed in there with 5 people, it is kind of tight. But man, yeah, I still would love to be on that trip. So the only thing for me is just not having to go to the bathroom for that long. They said like you can't eat the night before, you got, you know, take a hot shower before you go down. I was like, man, no, dude, I'm not missing a meal. That would be the biggest challenge for me. Tap, my man Tap, what's up, brother? Me and Tap go way back. So he says ship fitting with carbon steel is hard enough for war vessels. Bonding carbon fiber on top of metal is already another obstacle. Then you include the depth pressure to the formula. Yeah, so yeah, they have different compression rates. So that carbon fiber is it's certainly going to compress more at depth than the titanium. And then bonding those two things, all you have is you know, it's a structural adhesive. It's a good adhesive to use, but yeah, you got different things at play. We looked at that in the video where I went through the adhesive and the Loctite. And so you have let's see, how do I put this? So you have the carbon fiber, you have the hole, you have the carbon fiber hole, and then you have the dome on this side of it. Now these are going to compress at different rates, right? But remember the pressure at depth was far more than the shear strength that epoxy was rated for. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know how you take into account all that, because that's you have PSI. So every square inch you have, well, it was like what was that, 4,000 PSI or something. But anyways, you have the entire force of the ocean compressing the entire submersible, and then on top of that you have the different compression rates. But at the same time, that the pressure of the ocean is keeping everything together. So I'm not sure how you do that. And I mean, that's probably why people just stick to one material. Like, you know, like back when they did the Trieste, they didn't overthink this stuff. They used steel. I think it was a hardened steel or forged or something. But you know, James Cameron, and Victor Vescovo, they used the just titanium spheres, right? And I mean, and James Cameron, his was a lot smaller. His was like a, just enough for him to fit inside of it. And he went to the bottom of the ocean, the Mariana Trench, and even that sphere, he said that it compressed 2 inches. And why does everything compress 2 inches? I don't know. People say that the Titan compressed 2 inches. They say that his submersible compressed 2 inches. I think that's just a ballpark. I don't know. It seems like everyone says that their sub compresses 2 inches when they go down there. Like, okay. But let's see. And then we got another one from Sam. He says, I know enough about the build of subs from documentaries to know that it takes a lot longer to manufacture and test a safe unit. Yeah, definitely. If you guys ever get a chance to watch James Cameron, his oh shoot, what's the name of his submersible? Let's look this up. Let me put this back up here. If you guys want to save me a minute, then let me know. But they have a really good documentary. And that I would say like that I would say is like the proper way to design and build a sub. Deep Sea Challenge, yeah, because his submersible is called Deep Sea Challenger, right? This was on YouTube for a while. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, Deep Sea Challenge. It goes through the entire process of like, you know, James Cameron, from his initial thought of how he wants to do this, and then designing the sub, and then bringing that into life. You know, they had their challenges too. I mean, this is not an everyday task that they're doing, that you're doing down there. So I mean, there's a lot of I don't know, there's just even the specialists and the experts, you know, there's a lot of challenges that they're going to face that they haven't been faced with in the past. Now let me try and share something with you guys. We're almost kind of done with Oceangate here. There's also some drone footage here and things I want to share with you guys and get your thoughts on. So this is, let's see, let me pull this up for you so you can see what we're looking at. Victor Vescovo, dive. There was one video that they went through. I think it's this one, Caladan Oceanic. So this, I can't really play it, but this is an awesome documentary. So it goes through the whole design build process, and they were working with Triton submersibles. Remember, one of our previous videos, we compared the other like subs and from other companies and things like that. Yeah, so this one right here is one of their main subs. It's got a nice big glass dome, or acrylic, excuse me, a big acrylic dome, and then they yeah, there we go. And then yeah, that's where all the passengers are, and then the rest of this is like syntactic foam and all the thrusters and everything's inside of there. So yeah, their submersibles are pretty cool. And here's like one of the early renderings of the shoot, what is it? Limiting Factor. Yeah, they had cool names for their submersible and for their ship too. Pressure Drop, I think, was the name of their ship. And then we might be able to see here. You can see this big acrylic dome, and it's got a hatch on top, and that's how you enter. That's how you enter these. And then it's got a couple seats. I think these are just 2-seaters, maybe 3-seaters. But yeah, those things are awesome, and they've got those like in stock, like off the shelf, ready to go. But yeah, it goes through like the forging process and then like the machining process for the sphere. it was pretty cool. It's very fascinating. So if you guys are like still, you know, interested in all this, I know it's starting to get like you know, it's not really in the news anymore, and a lot of people are losing interest, but you know, there's so many rabbit holes that you can go down. And if you guys are interested, then yeah, you can definitely definitely go down this rabbit hole. This one's pretty cool to see how the submersible was built in a safe manner. And I think this one is a two-seater, if that's correct. And one of the cool things with his, so remember that remember Oceangate, they would always brag about their big acrylic domes, right? Like the big acrylic viewport that you can sit inside of and have a huge window. So like the Cyclops, that was actually really cool. But this one has, yeah, it doesn't have a big viewport, but it has three. So it's pretty cool. It's got enough for it has a viewport for each person, and then it's got one down below. And then like the design of it's more of like a pillow shape in a sense. So that's how it's sort of like hydrodynamic, so it can get up and down without too much of a without too much drag in water. And then this is like the robotic arm, and then you can see one of the thrusters there. But yeah, so yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, let's see. Let me know if you guys have any questions on the Oceangate Titan or anything like that, or any kind of diving or anything. Because we're about to move on from Oceangate. If you guys weren't here earlier, I was just saying that in the future here, I'm going to be doing a video on like inside the mind of Stockton Rush, and just kind of like why he did the things that he did. So this one is from Sam. Thanks for all the comments, by the way, Sam. And thanks for everyone leaving comments. I really appreciate it. It's fun to interact with all you guys. You need people with years of engineering experience when building a new version of any kind of vehicle, as they have a lot of knowledge on what works and what doesn't. Build on experience. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Like, yeah, I think that's one of the things where they definitely took some shortcuts. I mean, even Bruce Morton, so he's a smart guy, right? But he even admitted like, hey, I've built cell phones, I've built like barcode scanners, but this is my first time dealing with a submarine or a submersible. You know, he had no idea what he was getting into. And while his experience with like electrical engineering, it's arguable whether that was the right move to go with someone like him or not. You know, he had no experience like in the marine industry, maritime industry, let alone the submersible industry. You know, he's working on things like he said, cell phones and barcode scanners and stuff. So yeah, I mean, you know, the deeper you go into this, and the more I research this, it was just like, no, it can't be that bad. No, I know they did that, but it can't be that bad. They didn't do that. Oh, they did? Oh, well, they couldn't have done this. Yeah, it's just every step of the way, man. It's crazy. But yeah, pillow shaped. Would it be better to have a sub built pill like as before? Oh, pill like as before, or does that interfere with operating depth? The thing is, so let's see if I could just find where they have this rendering. The thing is, with all these submersibles, pull this up for you. With all these submersibles, it's just a sphere. So all this white stuff is all foam, and inside of the foam you have, you know, batteries and wiring and stuff like that. But it's just a sphere. So a cylindrical shape, a sphere is going to be like this. It's the strongest shape in the world, right? But like if you have a sphere, it's going to compress. Let's see if we can do this. Damn, my green screen's kind of messing up here. So it's going to like squeeze down and compress there in the middle. Let me get rid of this. Hold on. Sorry, guys. So yeah, it's gonna like compress in the middle like that. And so like almost like kind of just what happened when I was doing that is it sort of compresses. Here's what happened. Here's a demonstration of what happened with the Titan. Okay. It at depth, it compresses like this. And then what happened was the end popped off, and then everything got sucked in to this end. Everything else got pushed into that end. Essentially, right? Essentially, in theory, that's kind of what happened. But so the best shape is going to be a sphere. The worst shape is going to be a pill, anything cylindrical, things like that, because yeah, it's going to be strong out here on the end. It's going to be strong here coming from the side, but in the center, it's going to be extremely weak. So now James Cameron's submersible deep sea Challenger. Let's see. Let's find some photos of it for you guys. So his was sort of pill shaped. Let me get a better photo of it. So his like technically was sort of pill shaped, but so it was very hydrodynamic, but it was a sphere inside of here. Again, it was a titanium sphere, and it only had one opening, and that was the hatch right here. And it's kind of hard to see. See if we could zoom in maybe on this. Yeah, it's not really letting me do it. Yeah, but there you can see there's a bunch of bolts going around this, and it's on a hinge, and that's how he would get in and out. But excuse me. But when they would get this on the boat and it was on deck, it would be laying sideways, versus right now it's laying vertical. When they had it on the ship and when they were launching it, it would be horizontal. And then when they put it in the water, you can see some lift bags that are attached to it up here just to hold it on the surface. And then the divers have quick release like straps, and they're going to pull those straps, and then he'll pretty much just start making his descent. The reason for that is just to be like very hydrodynamic. You don't want a lot of drag in the water with these things. So yeah, technically a pill shape would work. But yeah, the vessel itself needs to be a sphere. Absolutely. Now, if you're Stockton Rush, or if you're going to build your own submersible, where are those photos at? Like where they were using the cylinders from like propane tanks and stuff, which is actually, it's pretty cool. So Stockton wasn't totally crazy when he built this, and this might not even be his, but essentially he heard that like there was only like a limited number of subs for sale, or even just private subs in general, just in the world. There was only like 30 or something like that, or maybe it was 30 in the United States or something crazy. But so he was trying to buy one. He couldn't. He said, okay, I'm going to build one. So he got plans from a retired naval architect who wouldn't send him materials, but they would send him the plans and like the materials needed. And so yeah, there's even a website where one of these is for sale right now. It's like on sale for like 30 grand. It used to be classed, and it's not classed anymore. That particular sub that's for sale. But yeah, I mean, this is what he built. It goes on the back of a boat trailer. He said that like you lay inside of it, and then your face is up here on this viewport right here. You're laying up in there, and then you got your controls, and you just control it. And I found something that kind of alludes to it's rated for like 90 feet or something like that, or maybe it was 30 feet and he took it to 90 feet. But whatever it was, he took it to like 3 times the depth of what it was like rated for, which is sketchy. But so yeah, his yeah, all that stuff started early. Just pushing the limits on everything. This is another look at the limiting factor. Yeah, so yeah, there you can see, you get a better look at those domes, and then you got these LED lights on there. Robot arm. I think this one only has one robotic arm, which is kind of crazy. And then these right here are some of the drop weights, and it's, you know, those look pretty familiar. That's the same thing that the Titan used. They're just iron, cast iron pipe, or steel pipe or whatever. So yeah, it's not uncommon. I mean, I know some of the stuff that they used looked like pretty sketchy, like using old rusty pipe and stuff. But I mean, in a marine environment, and when you're splashing this, when you're splashing the like just raw steel a lot in a saltwater environment, it's just going to corrode. It is what it is. So yeah. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions for Oceangate. That's pretty much it. I don't think I really even have any other good photos or anything intriguing for you guys as far as that goes. We're gonna look at some UFO stuff here from New Jersey. This was something I found the other night when I was doing research. I was debating on putting this in the video. I mean, I try to make the video like as serious as possible, because I mean, people did perish, and it was very unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, just when I was looking for different photos to use, this came up, and I couldn't help but laugh. But okay, Sam says, firing the people you hired because they are identifying problems, danger and risks in itself, insane. If the sound of your own voice is the one you want to hear, you're doomed to fail. And unfortunately, yeah, that was the case. That was the case with Stockton. And I mean, some of the stories that we heard were crazy. It was like, you know, David Lockridge was saying that like they were stuck on the Andrea Doria wreck. Like they were hooked on there, and they couldn't free themselves. And Stockton like refused to give up the controls to David, who is obviously like a maritime professional, has like lots of experience in the maritime industry. And then like he like smacked him like on the head with the controller. Pretty crazy. So yeah, fortunately or unfortunately. Okay, so I have some things saved here for you guys. Let me clear this. Dude, I don't go on X lot, so hopefully. Oh my gosh, what was it? Bookmarks. There it is. Okay, so this is the governor of Maryland. We'll play this for you guys. It says, last night, beginning around 9:45, I personally witnessed and videoed what appeared to be dozens of large drones in the sky above my residence in Davidsonville, Maryland, 25 miles from our nation's capital. I observed the activity for approximately 45 minutes. Like many who have observed these drones, I do not know if this increasing activity over our skies is a threat to public safety or national security, but the public is growing increasingly concerned and frustrated with the complete lack of transparency and the dismissive attitude of the federal government. The government has the ability to track these from their point of origin, but has mounted a negligent response. People are rightfully clamoring for answers, but aren't getting any. And he goes on to say, we are being told that neither the White House, military, FBI, or Homeland Security have any idea what they are, where they came from, or who has launched or controlling them, and that they pose no threat. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we should, it's like, I don't understand what that's supposed to mean. Like they're saying they don't know where they come from, they don't know who they belong to, but don't worry, there's nothing to worry about. You know, at this point, man, it's like our best case scenario is that there is an alien invasion. You know what I mean? It's just it's crazy what's going on in the world right now. So, you know, I mean, hopefully they come down and and are peaceful. You know, I'm hoping that this is not a foreign military, and I hope it's not our military, because if it was our military, I feel like they would. If it was our military, I feel like they would just like stop flying the drones, but instead people are continuing to see them every night. So that's the only thing that I'm like, I don't know if it's our military, because usually they'll just kind of like it'll go hush hush, and all of a sudden it'll be out of the news feed. Okay, so let's take a look at what he's talking about here, and let's see if we can get some audio. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Hopefully. Oh boy, this is, might have to close out some tabs here. Give me 1 second. Close this, close that, close that. Yeah, I don't know what these are. It's hard to tell. Oh, there you saw one shooting by. I wonder if it's running slow because of so many people are viewing this or something. I don't know. Or it's my computer, but it wasn't having issues before. But the fact that it's a governor that's posting this video and calling for action should be pretty alarming. You know, we're starting to see more and more people with credibility starting to ring the alarm and call for action. Yeah, that's a bummer. I can't really even see what that one is, but I had that one saved, and then there's another one here. There's a couple other things here. Before I get to that, Sam left a comment. Looking forward to more professional diving operational info. Did you see the deep sea divers operating on the salvage of the Kursk sub? No, I didn't see that. When was that? Can you tell us a little bit more information about that, and then we'll pull that up here in a few minutes and take a look. And it might be an idea for a future video. But yeah, just get just a couple details if you can, Sam, like when it was and stuff, and we'll look into that here shortly. Thanks for the comment. Okay, this is from Homeland Security. This was yesterday. It says today the FBI and Department of Homeland Security jointly issued a statement on reported drone sightings in New Jersey. I didn't see that until today on my way home. So a joint DHS FBI statement on reports of drones in New Jersey. We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat or have foreign nexus. Okay. What? The FBI, DHS, and our federal partners, in close coordination with the New Jersey State Police, continue to deploy personnel and technology to investigate the situation and confirm whether the reported drone flights are actually drones or are instead manned aircraft or otherwise inaccurate sightings. The Pentagon did a statement, I think it was today, where they said it was manned aircraft, and they just had an opening statement. And like when he was questioned about it, he's like, I got to stick to my opening statement. I can't really say anything else. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on. If I feel like if we knew, then we would have an answer. So yeah, I saw something else today too that was pretty crazy. There's a pretty smart guy. He's some tech genius that he and his partner have a business together. They've used this technology since like '97, I think it is. It's some web bot, some form of web bot, and it uses like all the search terms that are going on in the internet to like predict future events and predict the future. And then it was saying that that when the Trump and Joe Rogan podcast was announced that he was going to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, it said within 30 days that there was going to be some UFO extraterrestrial event, and it was going to start out as a lot of sightings, and it was going to turn into like a form of like melee, like it potentially could turn into some form of war. So it's crazy that they brought that up. It had only happened 2 other times where that system had said that, and that was in 2009 and then 2019. And it didn't happen in 2019 because there was some political event that didn't happen because of COVID or something like that. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. And of course, there's lots of conspiracy theories that we can go through. But okay, continuing on. Historically, we have experienced cases of mistaken identity where reported drones are, in fact, manned aircraft or facilities. We are supporting local law enforcement in New Jersey with numerous detection methods, but have not corroborated any of the reported visual sightings with electronic detection. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft operating lawfully. There are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. Now, I feel like there's some truth to that. If you guys are on, TikTok and stuff like that, a lot of people are just trying to like what do they call it, engagement farming, or just like clickbait, where like it's clearly and obviously an airplane, and they're saying that it's a drone. Like I started seeing that a lot here the past couple days. In Seattle, because they had like some mysterious drone sightings off the coast or over in Oregon. Like it was flying, like it was zipping out to the coast, and then it was like zipping back and like buzzing this medevac aircraft, and it was like it would like buzz it like from 20 miles away and then like zip back out to the ocean. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy, and they got photos of it, but of course they're cell phone photos, so they're not super clear. But yeah, so to a certain extent, what they're saying there in that second paragraph is partially true. But yeah, I mean, it's still just we got to take it with a grain of salt. It's the federal government, right? It says, we take seriously the threat that can be posed by unmanned aircraft systems, UAS. There's another acronym. So we got UFO, UAP, we have USO, unidentified submerged object, and then UAS, unmanned aircraft systems, which is why law enforcement and other agencies continue to support New Jersey and investigate the reports. To be clear, they have uncovered no such malicious activity or intent at this stage. While there is no known malicious activity occurring in New Jersey, the reported sightings there do, however, highlight the insufficiency of current authorities. I mean, I guess that's true. Like they're kind of calling out themselves, or calling out the federal government, or whatever kind of like behind the scenes black operations that they have going on. So yeah, there was another statement that was put out. This is from New Jersey Division of Fire Safety, and it's an intelligence bulletin, Fire Threat Task Force recommendations for encountering downed UAVs, and issued December 2024. Now I guess that I think that they're putting this out because last night, allegedly, a drone struck a power line and it went down. And so I was watching live footage earlier today, and they had a crew, a search and recovery crew that went out there, and they all got in their line like people that like be like 5 feet apart, and then started like walking into the forest and going to look for this thing, because it was kind of like a wooded area where they were doing this. So yeah, so I saw part of that, but I don't think that they really admitted to finding anything. Yeah, it exactly, Lex. It is wild times. So it says, overview: the New Jersey Division of Fire Safety has developed several guidelines when encountering downed unmanned aerial systems in collaboration with the New Jersey State Police and FBI Newark office. Safety recommendations: downed or landed drones should not be approached. Utilize the Emergency Response Guidebook, Guide 111, to establish isolation and evacuation distances 330 feet in all directions initially. Fire service members should utilize full PPE with SCBA when entering the isolation and evacuation distances, and not re-enter the zones once established. So that's like the firefighter suits with the full face mask, and they have the carbon fiber scuba tank on the back. That I actually did see that they had a crew that was coming back out that had SCBA gear in the back of their rig, and I was like, is that dive gear? Because it looked like dive gear in the scuba tank, but that's what it was. It was the SCBA, and it's saying to pretty much the hazmat team, hazardous materials response team, should approach the incident as an unknown and follow established environmental monitoring procedures as such, to include radiation monitoring. Request the nearest bomb squad. Be aware that electronic devices and two-way radio systems may malfunction in the immediate area. So, yeah, that's crazy. Be aware that electronic devices and two-way radio systems may malfunction in the immediate area. So these objects, whatever they are, they're saying that you can see them, but it's not popping up on any of their radars. Like, it's not leaving a heat signature like a typical drone would. Now, I think there's definitely two different things going on up there. There's like the actual unidentified objects, and then there's obviously some drones that are up there that are ours, that we're trying to use to figure out what the hell these things are, or to try and make contact with them, or try to shoot one down or something. But yeah, it is wild times. It is wild times for sure. Let's see. Tap says, feels like a military op they don't want to release info on just yet. Not sure why they're doing it either, though. I heard varying POV accounts, point of view accounts, of how they're bigger than usual drones. Yeah, a lot of people are saying they're like the size of an SUV or something. But there are some other military drones. They're like that are fairly new, and I've seen footage and videos of those, assuming that it's over New Jersey and not something else, that they're not like recycling old footage or something like that, or unrelated footage. But yeah, I think those ones are a little bit smaller, and those military drones, they're not the size of these, whatever these objects are. So, and Chinese company E-Hang makes them on. Let's see if we can find out what this is. If you have any more info on that, let me know. But let's see if we can find this. Chinese E-Hang drones, maybe. Let's see. Autonomous aerial vehicle. Let's take a look. Yeah, this is interesting. This is the first time I've heard of this. Oh yeah, I think it's the live streaming software that's making my laptop run slow right now. Sorry guys, this is taking a minute to load. All right. Well, while that's loading, let's go to the next one. See if it's up. Oh, okay, it's up. Hifai's air mobility. So it's like these right here, but these are manned, right? These look manned. These look like manned drones. Oh, $410,000 pilotless passenger. Oh, so these are drones, or well, these are drones that are okay. So they're so just like the self-driving cars is what these would be like. You can hop in and it'll take you to the what destination you want to go to. Oh man. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think we were there yet, but I guess we're close. I guess we're close. But the thing is with these ones that people are seeing, they're reported to do like corkscrews. They're not just like flying linearly. They're like flying, horizontal, vertical, doing corkscrews, like stopping and going in different directions. Kind of like Barry Sanders back in the day, stop and go, cut directions, cut it up. But yeah, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. So let's see. Yeah, ow, loud. No, that's crazy. Oh, so it's like a two-seater. Oh man. Oh yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Tap. That's yeah. Yeah, I don't man. I mean, this would sort of match the description of like of what people are seeing because you can also see remember they said they were seeing like they had like red and white lights on them. Here you can clearly see, let's see if can I zoom in and all. You see like the red lights, but they're not these aren't like typical like airplane configuration. So, some of the videos that you see, like, yeah, it's obviously a plane shaped sort of like a T or a cross, but yeah, this is a little bit different configuration. The lights, yeah, it's possible it's something like this. Could be some drone like that, but at the same time it's like why are they it seems like they're always so far away. Like I don't know why people can't get closer, why we can't get any closer footage, or why they can't get some semi-professional camera equipment out there. Yeah, pretty interesting. Okay, we're gonna go through some comments here. This is okay from Sam on YouTube. Just type Kursk sub. All right, dude, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Maybe I'll do Google because I can't post any like YouTube footage without checking first, without verifying that I would get flagged. So I'm just gonna take a look here. Oh, it's a Russian nuclear sub sank in an accident on August 12th, 2000 in the Barents Sea, with the loss of 118 personnel on board the submarine, which was part of Project 949A class, the Oscar class Soviet designations. Project 949 Granite See, a series of nuclear-powered cruise missile subs designed in the Soviet Union for the Soviet Navy. First built in the 1970s, 6 remain in service with the Russian Navy. 2 other vessels were slated to be modernized, and it goes on into, that's a different article. So, yeah, it was a Russian nuclear sub. Let's see. Crews of nearby ships felt an initial explosion and a second, much larger explosion. The Russian Navy did not realize that an accident had occurred, and this did not initiate a search for the vessel for over 6 hours. The submarine's emergency rescue buoy had been intentionally disabled during an earlier mission, and it took more than 16 hours to locate the sub, which rested on the ocean floor at a depth of 108 meters, 354 feet. And then let's see. So in over 4 days, the Russian Navy repeatedly failed in its attempts to attach 4 different diving bells and submersibles to the escape hatch of the submarine. Its response was criticized as slow and inept. Well, they should have used the United States Navy, baby. Officials misled and manipulated the public and news media and refused help from other countries' ships nearby. President Putin initially continued his vacation at a seaside resort in Sochi and authorized the Russian Navy to accept British and Norwegian assistance only after 5 days had passed. 2 days later, British and Norwegian divers had finally opened a hatch to the escape trunk in the boat's flooded 9th compartment, but found no survivors. That was, okay, so 2 days later. So what, 6 days? Is that what they're saying? British and Norwegian divers. So the Russian Navy couldn't get it done and had to bring out British and Norwegians. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. All right, let's just go through this. Let's go through this one more time. One more paragraph. An official investigation concluded that when the crew loaded a dummy 66 kit, it's a torpedo kit, a faulty weld in its casing leaked high-test peroxide inside the torpedo tube, initiating a catalytic explosion. The torpedo manufacturer challenged this hypothesis, insisting that its design would prevent the kind of event described. The explosion blew off the inner and outer tube doors, ignited a fire, destroyed the bulkhead between the first and the second compartments, damaged the control room in the second compartment, and incapacitated or killed the torpedo room and control room crew. 2 minutes and 15 seconds after the first explosion, another 5 to 7 torpedo warheads exploded. That's crazy. Wow. And they tore a large hole in the hull, collapsed bulkheads between the first 3 compartments and all the decks, destroyed compartment 4, and killed everyone still alive forward of the 6th compartment. The nuclear reactors shut down safely. Analysts concluded that 23 sailors took refuge in the small 9th compartment and survived for more than 6 hours. When oxygen ran low, they attempted to replace a potassium superoxide chemical oxygen cartridge, but it fell into the oily seawater and exploded on contact. Dang. The resulting fire killed several crew members and triggered a flash fire that consumed the remaining oxygen, suffocating the remaining survivors. Oh, man. Oh, that's tragic. Ah, gosh. Oh, what a way to go out, man. How unfortunate for everybody on board. Dang. So that was back in 2000. And then 2001, Dutch company Mammoth was awarded a salvage contract to pull it up. That's crazy. October 3rd, 2001, they were able to pull it up out of the water. Oh man. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Sam. That's that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. I didn't hear about this. I mean, back in 2000, I was only 7 years old, so I had no clue about any of this kind of stuff, any kind of news like this. That was probably worldwide news. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, maybe a potential future video on that. That's definitely interesting. You can buy drones that are as small as an insect and as large as a plane. Yeah, that's nuts. So one thing I've always wanted to get, it looks pretty cheap, is you can get like a phone size drone. Like it's like the size of a phone, and you can just pull it out of your pocket and use it for just different things for like video and stuff like that. Even the DJI drones these days, like the Maverick or Mavic Pro, those suckers are pretty small. It seems like just yesterday that we were still using the DJI, the big Phantom drones, those big ones. But now those things are like the bricks, you know, like the brick cell phones. Those things are large and outdated now. It seems like I don't think people even use those anymore. I've got a buddy who actually his company is Glide Aerials. They're down in California, and they just do all just aerial footage. So they're like experts with filming from drones. Those guys are awesome. But yeah, they do a lot of drone footage and stuff. Let's see. What they say was a glitch in the matrix. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, dude. And it feels like that's what it is right now, right? Like someone like opened a hole or tore a hole in the time-space continuum. And then let's see, if you fly low enough, you won't be tracked much like how cartels fly around North, Central, and South America, albeit they use smaller pilot planes. Isn't it if you fly low enough, you won't be tracked much? I think so. I think that has to do with like aerospace. If you're not in the aerospace flight path or in those zones, but I from what I'm hearing, I've heard a few different things, but it sounds like for whatever reason they're unable to even pick up some of these like UAPs. They can't even track them or figure out what they are. Let's see. If you guys do you guys want to see some dive footage? Do you want to see like some stuff from yesterday? Just a random job that we did. I've got some footage I could show you guys. I think I still have it here. I think it's pretty interesting. It's one of my favorite jobs. Okay, the recovery of the Kursk is the dive activity. That was amazing. Yeah. Do you know if there was ever like a movie on one of these, or excuse me, on this Kursk tragedy? Because yeah, I would definitely like to check that out and see what happened there. Speaking of movie, there's a movie coming out called Last Breath. Yeah, with Woody Harrelson, which is awesome. It's gonna be this is gonna be an awesome movie, and I hope that you guys get to watch this. Let's see. Let's go with this one. Let's go with this one because I gave my So like I said, I got to be careful with what I'm showing that's on YouTube. But this is a real life story. This is from Chris Lemons. They were saturation diving out in the North Sea. So they had that ship that's using DSV or DPV, dynamic positioning. It's a dynamic positioning vessel. And then they lower down this dive bell that you see right here. And this is what the divers are working out of. These are the saturation divers. They have a tender inside of there that's monitoring the divers and feeding them the hose and all that. These helmets are maybe I should go through this and do like a oh shoot. Oh. I gotta go back. Sorry. Okay. All right. All right, I got it up now. So yeah, this is Last Breath. This is based on a true story. These are sat divers right here. So what they're climbing out of is the dive bell, and this is the ship. This is the dive ship that they're working out of. It's got dynamic positioning, so it can stay in one location without needing to be at anchor. It could hold that position. Now they might have. Yeah, no, they didn't have anchor down. So it can stay at that one location. Now, what happened was they were diving, and essentially they lost all power to the ship. And then so when the storm was coming in, they lost all power, and then the ship like got blown off of the dive site. They were supposed to be holding position. Now these dive helmets right here, what I was just saying is that, so I might do a video of like everything right or everything wrong with The Last Breath movie. But yeah, based on an extraordinary true story. So these divers down here working on, I forget exactly what they were working on. They're swapping valves or doing something down here. And pretty much what happens is Chris, the diver Chris Lemons, he gets fouled. So his umbilical gets wrapped up. And so he's wrapped up, his hose is wrapped up around this stage. And then the storm blows the ship off of its location. And then, so essentially, so his hose is wrapped around like a pipe or something. Pretty much, he's the anchor for the ship now. He's the anchor. So his hose is wrapped onto the structure underwater, and then his hose is what's holding the ship in place. Now, what's going to happen is, what happens is his hose gets there's so much force that it just gets pulled, and his hose splits. Now, commercial divers, we have helmets, or we have bottles on our backs that we call bailout bottles. And let's see if they even show one here. See if we can get a good look. Some of this stuff is like, come on. Yeah, you can kind of see right there that's his bailout bottle. So at that depth, he's got 20, maybe 30 minutes in that bottle at that depth. And so his hose is completely severed. Essentially, what he's on now is scuba. He's got a limited air supply with no backup supply. He ends up, this is what happens to him. He ends up going unconscious and drowning, or suffocating. I forget which exactly it was. But the water in the North Sea was so cold that it preserved his body and allowed him to I don't know if it slowed his heartbeat down or if it just kept him cold. I forget the specifics on it. I'll do a video on this. This is an amazing story. They were able to get the boat fired back up, get power back to it. They came back and recovered him. They cut his umbilical and then brought him back onto the surface, resuscitated him, and yeah, he survived. And so yeah, he was dead at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and they brought him back to life. So there is a documentary. I believe it's on Netflix. Still. But it's called Last Breath as well. And that was from a couple years ago. I think it was like 2021 or something like that. But yeah, that was an amazing story. And yeah, this trailer just came out. I'm super excited. I hope you guys go out and watch this. I'm going to go out and see it for sure. I'm super excited that Woody Harrelson's in it because he's one of my favorite actors. So, okay, let's go through a couple more comments here. Okay, let's see. Okay, Sam says, yes, there was a movie, but about the accident, not the recovery. The divers had to cut the front off and cut 26 holes in the sub for cables to haul it up. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like a pretty intense salvage operation. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be worth covering. We're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes, guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, suggestions, anything like that, yeah, feel free. I appreciate everyone that joined in here. Reviewing the dive equipment and actions in the movie would be great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to have some stuff prepared, and I'm going to research Chris Lemons, his actual story. now we have like a documentary to go off of, and we have the Hollywood version to go off of. The cast actually looks awesome for this, so I'm even more excited. But yeah, hopefully, honestly, hopefully the movie does well, and hopefully, you know, it kind of informs like the general public, like the masses of like the type of stuff that we see, and the things that we experience. Not everything is going to be, you know, super accurate. Like the helmets, for example, like we don't use helmets. We use helmets similar to this, but our helmets have like you can't see our nose. We have, it's called a oral nasal pocket, and it pretty much seals up against our face like this, and it just it helps prevent any carbon dioxide that we're expelling, and it helps it kind of go through the exhaust out the front of the mask. So yeah, these are Hollywood commercial dive helmets. They're close, and yeah, it's still pretty cool. I'm not going to hate on it too much. Some of the comment section's kind of roasting them already, but let's see. There's a true story similar to this. If I could find it, I'll send you the info. Well, yeah, the actual gentleman, this is based on a real story. His name's Chris Lemons. And yeah, so this is based on a true story. The documentary is also called Last Breath. It's on, last time I checked, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there. And then yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, mate. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I mean, I have some dive footage. It'll only take a second to pull up. So if you guys want to see it, if you guys want to hang out, I gotta put it in my computer anyway. So give me a second. I gotta pull out the GoPro. But yeah, dude, I'm super excited for that movie. I'm surprised it's got that good of a cast. Another cool story, and another person I'm going to cover is Harrison Okine. He was a South African. He was like, I think he was a cook on board a dive ship, and so a ship that's similar to this one here in the Last Breath movie. They're out there working on oil rigs, and so what happened with him is that ship went down, and I don't know why it sank, but yeah, it went down, and he's the guy who survived underwater for days. It was like something like 4 days or something like that underwater. He was in an air pocket underneath inside of the ship, and commercial divers went down. Obviously, after a few days, you're assuming that you're just going to be doing a salvage and recovery of the bodies. But yeah, that guy. So Harrison Okine. Yeah, that guy's awesome. He seems pretty cool too. I might be able to do an interview with him. But yeah, he's the one that that survived down there for a few days. And yeah, I mean, like long enough to where like his body was like rotting away. And it just, yeah, wasn't pretty. They taught him how to dive a helmet. Like they put a helmet on him, and then we have communications. So we have communications. So we have so they're able to talk to the supervisor was able to talk to him and kind of guide him through what he needed to do to survive and to breathe and use the helmet and all that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Harrison, after that, later turned into a commercial diver himself. And now he's like a dive supervisor down in South Africa. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, I'll just show you some quick footage from the other day. Let's see. Yeah, so this is a commercial fishing boat that we're working on. The first thing I got to do here, so they're replacing a valve inside of the engine room, and this boat had just gotten hauled out, and well, they didn't replace the valve when it was hauled out of the water. So I need to go down under the ship and install a patch on the underside of this like opening on the hull. And I'm going to show you how we do that and what we're looking at here. So yeah, this is pretty typical for us. So I've got a light mounted on my head, but it's not nearly bright enough. Like this is what I'm seeing right here. Pretty much nothing. So I have a bright spotlight that I'm using to try and figure out where this thing is. Prior to this, we go down into the engine room and take a look at everything. So now this right here, it's the circular opening. This is going to be a screen that it pretty much just this is an intake for like their main engines. So this screen just kind of helps protect any kind of debris that is and help prevent any debris from entering getting sucked up into the engines and causing damage to the motors. So yeah, pretty much what I'm doing is just going down, taking a look, and taking some measurements and figuring out like what we're going to need. Sometimes these intakes they have like slots. So instead of having a bunch of holes in it like this, it's going to be slotted. Those ones are a little bit easier to work with. So I'm just trying to figure out what kind of screen is on there and what size. And then the top side guy is getting the patch ready for me. So let's go to the next video. It's going to be maybe this one. Okay, so I am just waiting for the patch now. And let's see. Oh yeah, so so we have two different size hooks. Can you do me a favor if anybody's watching here? Can you let me know if this thing is like buffering or if it's playing smooth? Because on my preview, it looks like it's buffering. I just want to make sure it's got smooth footage for you guys. It's not unbearable to watch. So we have two different size hooks. These ones actually brought down the thicker ones first because we had just made these. We had heated these things up and bent them, but yeah, they're just barely too big to fit inside of this. Fit into those. What we're gonna do is stick these hooks inside of this screen, and then we're gonna slide the patch. Okay, all right. Thanks, Tap. I appreciate it. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna slide those hooks inside the screen, and then we're gonna slide the patch onto it. You guys will see the patch here shortly. So yeah. Now let's go and get the patch. Oh, actually, I have to go get the other rods. I got to place these rods first. And so the top side guy is the tender sending down those rods. What was that, 1683? Let's see. It should be this one then. Yeah, so he's sending down the smaller rods. So these are the old faithfuls. We always use these things. Like they always work. So okay, that one, I think I was still waiting around on that one. Okay, yeah, so here now I got the smaller rods that could fit inside of there. And this boat, so like I said, it had just been hauled out. So so all this stuff had just been freshly painted over. So even the smaller rods were kind of tough to fit inside of there because this paint that they use is so thick. But yeah, so I needed to space these out about 8 inches apart. And not only that, but I also needed to try and get this, get it centered in the middle of the screen. So, and you'll see why here. You'll see why here shortly. So now I'm coming back for the rest of my tools. Now he's going to lower down. I'll show you right here. He's going to lower down it's a 40-pound lead brick. And then this orange thing right here is a lift bag to help hold this lead brick up by itself. So what we have, what that patch is it's a 24-inch. It's a 24-inch by 24-inch square. It's a big square with neoprene on it. It's right here. So it's got 2-inch neoprene. Now, that 40-pound lead brick is enough to sink this and make it maybe like 5 pounds negative. So this thing is super buoyant. Like I can't pull this thing down. It's just like this fender over here. Like it's got too much buoyancy. So what I have to do is hook on that lead brick. But if I hook on that lead brick, it's going to be too heavy and it's going to pull me to the bottom. So what we need to do is we're going to have this lead brick is going to have a lift bag hooked onto it. And that's going to be our pretty much that's going to be controlling the buoyancy of that lead brick. So this lead brick, like right now in water, it weighs 0 pounds because it's being held up by the lift bag. Yeah. So right now it's floating, right? It's being held up. We want it to be not completely 40 pounds heavy, but more like 30, 35 pounds heavy. And so that's where that lift bag is going to come in handy. So I'll try and get you guys a good shot of what it looks like once everything's hooked up. But yeah, so I have to have that. I have the lead brick, and then I have the lift bag in the middle, and then I have this this guy right here, the big patch, which is about 35 pounds buoyant, approximately. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just burping this lift bag, just trying to get some air out of it. As you can see, this patch is now slowly starting to go underwater. Right now, I'm just trying to see if I could pull it down with me, or if I need to burp it because it's still just slightly too buoyant. So I'm burping it just a little bit more. Now I think this is pretty close. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, I'm just getting some stuff rigged up here. Now the thing is, so I don't want to make it too negative, to where it starts to go down on its own. I want it to be like a slightly buoyant. If it's too negative, by the time I get underneath this ship, which is about 10 feet deep, remember when we went through Boyle's law, that the air in the lift bag is going to compress even just at 10 feet. So by the time I get under the ship, then it's going to be way too heavy. I'm not going to have nearly enough buoyancy, and it's just going to go straight to the bottom. So now I've got this object that is 35 pounds buoyant, and I'm able to just handle it with ease underwater. All because of, I've got my 40-pound lead brick, I've got my lift bag, and then I've got that. Now, when I get down there, it's starting to become a little bit heavy on me. So I'm trying to grab onto something here so I can put a little bit more air back into that lift bag so it's a little buoyant. And then once I do that, let's see, you guys can see the rods there. I'm pretty close to where I need to be. So now I got those rods sticking down, and these holes are pre-drilled in the patch. So pretty much I just have to line this thing up. And I know this kind of looks easy, but it's there's a lot going on here. Keep in mind, like I have the buoyancy with the patch, I have the counterweight, I have the lift bag, I have my weights, I have my buoyancy in my BC, in my harness to worry about. I have my buoyancy and air inside my suit to worry about. So yeah, there's a lot going on. And then on top of that, then I have these rods with like small hardware, and it's dark. And if I drop anything, it's gonna screw up the rest of my dive. So I'm also right here is very tricky to try and get the buoyancy correct. But I was able to do that, and it's honestly, guys, this was I'm pretty proud of this. It was like within a pound of where I needed it to be in terms of like how heavy it was. So I was able to get it up there, and then just like kind of pinch the all thread with my hand and hold it in place just like that while I get everything tightened down. Now, the hardware that we use, we got some rubber washers and big flat washers on there. There we go. and then we got wing nuts, and just tighten those suckers down. And then, yeah, crank those down all the way. And then once we do that, then I get out of the way and I tell the guy on the radio, this tender on the radio, and he's telling the guys inside the engine room, okay, go ahead and open the valve and see if any water's coming in. And then they just got to make sure there's no water coming in. And then they can pull the valve. This patch is going to stay in place, prevent the ship from sinking, and all that. So, yeah, one thing too, is very important. Like you guys just might have just seen there is umbilical management. Like right here, like I got to make sure that like all my air hoses and stuff are out of the way. We don't want a Chris Lemons situation where I get hung up on something and then I end up, not being able to free myself. But yeah, and then we always keep this stuff on hand whenever we're trying to waterproof something. This is called duct seal. And I think they actually use it on ducts, like vents and stuff like that, just to kind of help seal up any air gaps. And so what we're doing is just putting it. There's a couple holes that were already drilled in this plate, so we're covering those, and then one prime suspect for water intrusion are these wing nuts right here. You wouldn't think so. You would think that like with a rubber washer up there nice and tight and being spread out when you tighten it down, it would be like more than enough to keep water out. But I think it actually gets through like the threads and everything. There's like a little bit of water intrusion. So we take that duct seal stuff, and then we just place it on over top of those wing nuts. So yeah, and so fortunately, the cool thing was about this dive, yeah, there it is installed. Give you guys a good wide angle look at this thing. It's so sketchy, and it was so cold diving this time of year. But yeah, here's a good look at the patch installed. And it's just like at an angle because that's the way we had to set those bolts. But yeah, I mean it's like a 25-inch patch covering a 16-inch hole. So yeah, it's plenty good there. Right now, at this point, I'm about 5-10 feet away, and I'm just standing by, just making sure that the patch is good when they crack the bolts. So, or open up that valve. And then let's see here. I think this is the second part of the dive here. Yeah, so I'm going back on bottom. I got all my hardware down there. I'm just getting getting everything de-rigged. Pretty much just doing everything in reverse order here. I think at this point I'm waiting on something from the topside guys. But yeah, there's some debris that's down there. An old ladder. This ladder actually looked like it was in good shape, and I was trying to break it free, but it wasn't budging. I think a ship had laid on top of it and just like buried it and smashed it in the seafloor. Oh yeah. Yeah, so sometimes when we're waiting on the guys up top to get stuff done, we'll just kind of look around and start looking for stuff. This is a bottle of, I don't know what bottle this was. I thought it was Maker's Mark or something. It's kind of shaped like it, but it wasn't. Something cheap. Yeah, tires. There's so much debris down there on bottom. It's yeah. So we try and clean up when we can. But yeah. So just getting this thing off, and then I think I have a kind of a good wide angle view of me swimming everything out here. Yeah, pretty close here. Oh no, that's the other one. I'm sorry. I think it's gonna be this one. Yeah, I'm getting everything de-rigged here. And then when we pull the patch, oh yeah, so now we're doing everything in reverse. I got to make sure that I've got enough buoyancy to kind of prevent the patch from sinking. I got my handy dandy spud wrench on me. and then yeah, just pop those out, throw them in the bucket, and we're good to go. Yes, and then yeah, of course I keep all my tools to try to keep those all close by as well. We just use 5-gallon buckets with holes drilled in them, and yeah, so yeah, pretty happy when the job goes smooth like it should, you know. So yeah, there's that. That's a day in the life. And the visibility was really good this time of year too. It's pretty cool to see all these leaves underwater, this orange, and it actually looked really pretty. It's probably the best part of the day was getting out. So yeah, but all right, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. I appreciate everyone for coming through. And Alicia, no, this is not pre-recorded. No, but we're just about to wrap it up though. So yeah, you can rewatch it if you want. Let me know, like, if you guys want to do more of these live streams. I'll make a post here in a little bit, and then you guys can let me know if you liked it or whatever. Also, feel free if you have any suggestions. I appreciate all you guys' support, and I'm glad that you guys like the content. And yeah, we'll keep at it. Yeah, I'm underwater right now. Yeah, hold on. I stopped for a second. Let me continue. All right. Yeah, I'm coming out of the water right now. So yeah. But yeah, so well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a good one. Yeah, have a great weekend. Thanks, you guys.